Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with the last Total War Warhammer 3 SFO Grimhammer The Land of Wealth patch showcase. As I've said in the previous video today, the Land of Wealth has already been released in its beta form. It's a standalone at the very moment, so you'll need to download that to be able to play it, and it's got loads of changes. It's in its beta form, so anything that you do see is subject to change by the time that the full release is out. If you've got any thoughts or criticisms regarding the changes so far, leave them in the comments below, as that helps the SFO team gauge viewer interest. So this video will focus on the Ogre Kingdoms. This was the pre-order incentive for Total War Warhammer 3, with two different legendary lords, both with their own style of play, but the mechanics generally stay the same thing. As always, anything that's been showcased in the quality of life changes stuff also affects the ogres too. So let's not waste any more time and check out the changes for the ogres themselves. Alright, so let's look at the control changes first, where control affects physical resistance and upkeep province-wide, but also characters faction-wide. This is their health in general, which is very beneficial to you, as it means that your characters could be very tanky as you start taking over, say for example, all the Mountains of Morn first, and then going to Grand Cafe, which is out of the way. It's not going to be disturbed for too long, so you can get your characters getting really buffed up. We've got some changes coming to infrastructure. Keep in mind that your garrisons have also changed too. This is important to note, so they're not just so generic after all. But the settlement income chain will focus on lower construction costs for local and adjacent provinces, but also lowers control. So keep an eye on that, because last thing you want is a bit of an issue, let's just say. The settlement growth chain increases growth, replenishment reduced but changed to province-wide. The settlement garrison chain now increases campaign movement range province-wide and control, plus supply gain and growth has been lowered. You have to keep in mind of that because growth is so important, especially for the ogres very early on, because your settlements are all minor. And lastly, the settlement defense chain lowers enemy hero action success chance in region and also increases the supply gain, which is very useful. This one's quite important. So the military chains have been changed a bit, so they'll have a maintenance cost, meaning that you will get less income overall. However, your units there will have a vigor loss reduction province-wide. So it's a buff, but also a nerf. It depends. I would say this would probably give you incentive to move out faster and get into more combat, because obviously you don't want the loss of income, so you're going to want to actually expand at a faster rate, which is more or less what falls in the Ogre lore. They want to actually take over the world. This is a very nice buff. So you see, all camp recruitment buildings now give small bonuses to the camp army, which I think is something very important, because obviously keep in mind that they're a stationary army, they can't move around, and you want them to be as strong as possible in case your campaign starts going south or an enemy just appears in that area which you weren't preparing for. You need them to be as buffed as possible. You can see all the bonuses here. It's just some stuff like weapon strength and all that, but trust me, it does become quite useful. There have been some small changes to the camp infrastructure buildings just to give them a little bit of an update. For example, the camp support chain increases control within said province, and the camp growth chain increases XP per turn for units in camp army. Once again, very useful since they're a stationary army. They can't really go out and go get levels up by getting into combat. And last thing you want is a big army coming to you and just destroying you, so now you've at least got them ranking up and being a bit stronger. Offers to the Great Maw have been buffed overall. I'll be scrolling through them. There's pretty good benefits to use them now. I'll be very honest, I just keep forgetting them, which is really weird. But you will notice that the meat cost has been increased, which, it depends on the player. I don't find it so hard to find meat, but then again, it's all on how aggressive you can be, mostly. You would have also noticed that the meat needed for pre-battle feasts has been doubled, so it will get a little bit more expensive. This kind of pushes you to be a bit more aggressive, which is going to be needed. Meat is so very important for the Ogre campaign, so yeah, get those clubs out, boys. There have been a few changes to the campaign and faction trait for Greasus, the first being the campaign trait. We now have plus 10% sacking and looting income added, which is absolutely awesome. This is faction wide. And then we've got for his trait, Iron Guts upkeep reduction changed to minus 40% down from minus 50. Sack and loot income changed to plus 25% down from plus 50. Keep in mind though that the bonus that you have for the campaign effect is going to vastly overpower this anyway. And then finally, rating income changed to be province-wide from region-wide. This is something that we talked about in the quality of life changes. Skrag also has a few nice changes. Let's look at campaign effects. Butcher hero effects have been doubled, so you know, you want to have more butchers coming along. Then campaign movement range effects replaced by minus 15% movement speed for all enemies during the battles. Nobody can escape the Great Maw. And then when we go to his own specific trait, we've got gorgeous upkeep reduction effect changed to minus 40% down from minus 50. Replenishment rate has been upped though to plus 10% up from plus 8, and 10% minus vigor loss reduction on enemy territory for the army added. So overall, quite a few good buffs, nothing really hard on nerfs. So if we go through my experiences, I'd say that the ogres have changed a little bit. Mechanically they're the same. Let's admit that the DLC factions are always much better than the base game factions, because, I don't know, it's one of these imbalances that Creative Assembly do which kind of irks me in a sense. However, the ogres are fun. The only thing is, I would say that you do need to be a bit more aggressive with them, because you need food. Food is so important here. But overall, it's pretty good. I've played with very hard, very hard. What you're seeing on footage is easy mode though, because it's just generic background image. But I would say that they're in a very, very good place, and they're definitely something that you'll want to play. Mind you, I've been saying to people, like, if you want to play Total War Warhammer 3, you'll want to start off with the ogres, because they're just a lot more fun. Mechanically, they've got a lot of stuff going around, and they're a bit better. They've also got much better units, because, you know, lead belchers are terrifying. But with all that being said, the SFO Grimhammer patch is out now in its beta form. Just download it, give it a check, see how you like it. It's got loads of quality of life changes, as you've seen from previous videos, and it'll definitely give you a bit more reason to play Total War Warhammer 3 now. But with all that being said, I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I shall see you all again very, very soon.